I've been running, running round, upside down, inside out. I've been running. I've been running, running round, upside down, inside out. I've been running from my mind.
Oh, excuse me. I appreciate, his candor and taking full responsibility.
Right.
But I still got an issue.
I know I was listening to it. I know that Kevin, made his whatever, but there was still something unsettling about the whole interview. And go ahead.
Like, what was unsettling for you?
I don't know. It's just, I understand, like, you got to own your stuff. Yeah, most definitely. But it was something, I can't put my finger on it, that was, like, when I talked about in the first episode of the Crosstalks, and I said that I had reached a point in my life where I didn't want to go back to that lifestyle. I didn't want to deal with options, all the other options. I meant that, and I'm not saying that I'm not infallible. I'm not saying that I will never cheat. I'm not going to say that. What I can say is that I know what the other side feels like, and I have no desire for that. I can say that. And so that's before I got married, right? And so I'm married now. And so the contract I signed, not the contract I'm talking about with the state, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about with me and my Creator. The contract that I signed to vow to you to be forever yours and yours alone. I don't know. It's just, it's like.
Yeah, babe. I think you know how I am. You know that I think it's 1,000 road signs before a mess up.
Right.
And I think that we too often play that, humanity card. Like, because I'm human, I messed up. Now I'm stronger. But while that is a true statement, it is also true that we can, like, just have some darn prophylactic behavior. Meaning, it's no surprise to you that you're married. It's
Right.
no surprise to you that being in a room with another woman is inappropriate. And I'm sure, and he can't talk about the case. There's a lot of levels to this. I don't care how many levels to whatever there are. Were you being held by gunpoint? Were you on drugs? Were you just totally out of control of self? And like you say, he said he wasn't thinking. Therein lies the problem. When you have, and then this, why is it that it takes something, and this is not just in relationships. I see it in health. I see it in a lot of areas. Why is it that you do not appreciate or esteem or value what you have until you jeopardize it? Like, I'm going to need you to, like, just really look, marinate, meditate, pontificate on what you have and the value that you attach to it before you ever made a mishap, and keep that going. Because in my mind, it's not even about you. Like, if you were to cheat, it's not even about you not loving me.
You talking about me?
Yeah, if you were to cheat on me, it's not even about you not loving me. It's about you not keeping your word. It's about you not protecting the covenant. It's about you being so reckless and careless to look at all the signs that were leading there. And let's say worst case scenario, we were having like a horrible time in our marriage where it was just horrible. I still don't think that is any excuse to do something like that, especially with the woman that I am, because as you know, I am so open. I believe in open communication, even painful communication. I believe in truth. I've told you, like, look, if this is not what you want, please tell me. Like, I am not so thin-skinned. I would rather you be like, babe, this is not what I want anymore, than you to go out and to dip off and to be conniving or cheating or lying and things like that. That will make me homicidal.
I mean, it's a point of no return. I mean, it's like, even if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was vice versa for you.
But you know what?
I'm just saying. It's like one of those things. I
don't think it has to be a point of no
Listen. I'm
return.
talking about for me.
Yes.
For me, that's how I feel right now. I'm not saying that if it happened that's going to be what's going to, but I feel that it's a point of no return. You know, because I know what I've invested into this, right? And you know, I just can't I just can't myself see me going forward anymore. I just can't.
Well,
the violation for me, the violation is there.
It's a major violation,
right?
And
so
breach.
it should be. I know it should be no different with a male.
But it was something that he said
What did he say?
in the interview. Kevin Hart said.
Well, I want to also know that I want to also make a statement that there's a double standard here.
What do you mean?
Because I know for me within myself, if you did it, it would be a violation, and I'm thinking that I'm like, it's over. You go be with that. It's done. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm getting my stuff, and it's it. Right? That's how I feel in my mind. Not saying that if it happened that I wouldn't do anything different, but it's just one of those things. But for men, it seems as if, like, oh baby, I'm sorry. That girl, like they said it, that girl didn't mean nothing. It wasn't about the girl. It wasn't about the. Well, if it wasn't about if it wasn't about the woman, if it wasn't about the wife, then why'd you do it? Like, and they say, oh yeah, show me a perfect man, blah blah blah. It's not about being a perfect man. That's not even the case. That's what you put mayonnaise over to try to make this sandwich taste good. It's not about being a perfect man. It's about you understanding where you stand and where you're not gonna go before you get there.
It's about boundaries.
It's about putting those boundaries up.
Yes. It's about,
if you have that, like, I'm not saying that I'm once again, I'm not saying that I am impervious to this.
Right.
All I'm saying is that the boundaries that I set up in my mind before I got married is what's keeping me thus far from that.
Right.
So,
And like, I agree with you there. It's almost like, that, but I'm human, excuse. But, okay, so my thoughts about humanity. When humanity touches divinity, all things are possible.
Right.
But, in the interview, I'm almost losing my thought. In the interview, he said that, are we real? Like, is this relationship real? A test came. Is it real? And I'm like, look, our relationship is being tested daily. Constantly.
No outside forces needed.
No, absolutely no outside forces needed. When you have two individual human beings trying to merge and create a single, meaningful, purposeful life, that is a test in and of itself.
Yes. And
so why are we so open and accepting to the test of infidelity? Like, oh, it was bound to come. Like, I think it was Charlemagne's father said, one day you'll understand.
Right.
No. That is, once again, passing on that card to say, it's okay. It's okay. And guess what? It is not. Unfortunately, you have many, many, many women who believe that that's just how men are, and it's okay. You have many brothers who believe that that's just part of being a man. And it's not. Being a man is keeping your word. Being a man is setting efficient and thorough, proper boundaries around what you've built. Like he said, he spent 9 years building this. Look, respect what you're building.
Right.
Don't jeopardize what you're building. Most men would not go out and jeopardize that job that funds the money that keeps that house and that car going. They gonna hold that tongue. They're gonna show up. They're not gonna do stupidity on the job. Yet when it comes to something even more precious, the wife that you covenanted with, the children that you born into this world, you're gonna jeopardize that over some what? Some thrill, some experience, you better go home and talk it out. You better, once you realize that you have not set proper boundaries, you better break bad and escape. But no, nobody's looking at the waymarks. Nobody's looking at those 1,000 pitfalls before the actual cliff.
Right.
And that's what, it just burns me up. Because, as I counsel so many women who are in the situation of his wife. And let me tell you something. Women, we are strong. We are forgiving. We are lovers. And we have the capacity. I think we all have the capacity to forgive.
We do.
And to genuinely, work through things. But guess what? We as women need to understand that we cannot give out pass cards. That if you decide to stay, that, like Kevin said, he needs to be actively working to mend that. Like, there needs to be changed behavior. There needs to be accountability. Like he said, he going home. It really needs to be there. I remember being in undergrad, and there was a slightly older woman in our class. And when I mean slightly older, we might have been like 18, 19, and she was maybe late 20s. And she asked the young ladies in the class, she said, if your husband cheated on you, do you think you would, go back and work it out? And most of the young ladies were like, nope, he messed up. I don't know, just ranting. And she sat and she listened, and she said, I used to think the same thing. And then she told us the story about how, she discovered her husband was cheating, and just the cycles of emotion, and how he wanted to work it out. And the thing that stuck out in my mind as she was telling the story was how he practically organized his life after that to allow her to see that he was serious about reconciling, that he was serious about changing his behavior. I mean, he was like on a check and balance system, and he was okay with that because he needed to prove to her that he really wanted this. And you know what? I love love. I'm down for forgiveness. I believe in, I believe in working through conflict. But I also believe in putting up barriers and boundaries so that certain things just do not have to be so.
Listen, marriage is difficult enough. Like, there are so many things that go on that we have to deal with within ourselves. If we see our spouse in a certain light and we're upset, and the spouse probably don't even know, but they just, for some reason, at some point in the day or some point in the week or the month, that they just disgust us.
Like today, I was so angry with you.
But listen, what I'm saying,
I'm sorry.
I don't know, but anyway.
Right, you probably didn't know.
So
you
I have
knew
no
something.
clue.
Yeah, you knew
But
I was
I
a
don't
little
know.
hot.
I didn't know what you were.
You knew I was a little hot.
But whatever.
But you don't
whatever
know why.
I don't know why. I don't
But
know.
you
But
knew.
but there was and it happens with both of us.
I know.
It happens for me. Like, there was sometimes I'll be like, I have to tap into that higher power that created me to help me push forward, or to just straight give me calm. If it wasn't for my creator, I don't know who created y'all, but if it wasn't for my creator, man,
oh my goodness,
I wouldn't know I would be so confused. And that's another reason why I believe that a lot of people do the things that they do. They don't have any commitment or loyalty to one that's greater than them.
Or if they do, right, the commitment.
The commitment. I'm not talking about you talking you committed.
Right.
I'm talking about a complete awareness that you don't only have a covenant with this this flesh and blood.
Right.
You got a covenant with the one
The Father.
that created you, the one that allowed you to exist. Period.
That's right. And babe, I agree. When you see things in that light, it's a completely different. It makes a complete difference in what you will and will not allow.
That's one of my. That's
where
one.
You will and won't go.
That's one of my buffers. That's one of my buffers.
Yes, it's a protection.
It's a protection for me, and there's several other protections that I have, and I'll talk about them later. But there's several other protections that I personally have. But that's because I made a point. I made a point in my mind that there are things that I want and things that I don't want, and I don't want to have to do what that brother just did.
Let me ask you.
I don't want to have to deal with that.
Okay.
I would rather deal with the little problems that we have and go through what I got to go through to strengthen that than to deal with getting a frill from some other female that I already made a buffer for before I even got married because I didn't want the options. I'm tired of the options. But go ahead.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about, and we're talking about how, just our love and commitment toward our Creator keeps us. It constrains us in so many ways.
Keep me. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, it keeps me too. But I'm like, this is what led me to this thought. Even without me thinking about how the love of my Creator constrains me, my self-respect constrains me.
I'm just saying.
And I'm just thinking, where does that come into the picture?
Yeah. It's another buffer.
I mean,
for me.
and once again, I'm not impervious to cheating. I don't think I'm this bullet-proof woman. I think that I am subject to anything that anybody else is subject to. But there are some things that I just cannot fathom doing because I have respect for myself.
Right.
And so do men have, I'm just asking, is
I don't know. Like I don't know. I come from a family of men that are not, that have from man. The guys just don't. I don't know. The reason why I have a buffer for this whole thing is because I have family members and in-laws that have done family members wrong, that have cheated on family members, and I'm like, yo, I was with you. I was like, man, you were my ace. I was cool with you, and then you go do this to my family member. I'm like, yo, and then it's like, okay, I got people that are my blood that do it to people that I love that are not blood. I'm like, why? Like, yo, and so if I'm affected by these other people's marriages, then what's going to happen when I get married? So I see this in the beginning. And so I set a buffer in my mind like, hey, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want other people around me that to deal with that. Listen, I want to pride myself on the power and strength of the fact that even though it ain't perfect, even though there's mistakes made, but I'm still there and I ain't making that move. I'm still in this relationship and I'm not making that move. I want to glorify in that power, because that power right there is greater than anything else. Because you see how folks I read some of the comments in the feed of this interview that Kevin did, and I'm like, these women are straight.
What they say?
Man, they ain't backing. I don't care what they saying stuff like, I don't care what you say. Your rib, really, your rib. Is that what she is? Well, if that what she was, then you should, all this stuff that people are saying.
And that's kind of to my point. Why is it that the valuing process only happens after the mess up? Listen. It makes me think about it's somebody that I talk to on the regular, and they've had situations where they've been in relationships and then the relationship ends, and then after the fact, the men come back. It's happened like at least 4 or 5 times. The men come back and say, man, I did not understand your value then. I wish I would have, been able to value you then. And I'm like, sometimes hindsight is 20/20, but people need to open their eyes and be humble and really appreciate what it is in the person that they're choosing. Like, nobody put a gun to your head and made you marry your wife or your husband.
Nope.
I don't think, you know.
Shouldn't
And
have.
so, you know, you really need to value whom you chose. All the time that you've spent building this life with this person, you need to appreciate, value, respect, cherish that, and maybe even give yourself, look, set reminders in your phone if you need to remind yourself that you need, you love, you respect, you cherish, you honor, you know, because after the fact is not always efficient. His wife could have justifiably
Man,
left him, you know.
half.
And you know what? I think
Half.
and I'm not even thinking about the money.
I'm just
I'm
no.
thinking about-
I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that she could have taken that option and gone and been set for life.
yeah.
I'm
but
just saying.
not-
No,
yeah.
listen. I know you're not thinking about that, but I'm saying that's a reality of the situation.
Yes.
You know, she could have been so hurt that she could have been like, hey, I can't deal with this. I'm done, and I will be fine. Especially because I would be it would be done. I'm done with it.
Well, you know, babe, when the story first came out, I didn't follow it.
I didn't follow it either.
I didn't. I'm saying I didn't know much about it, and
I didn't either.
In that interview, I learned.
But
that
I know what goes on. This stuff. I think Eddie Murphy did. I don't know, but half. You get.
Oh, you talking about when a woman takes half?
When she does half.
Okay, but listen to this. This is my point now. I did not.
You better
know,
repair that stuff.
I did not know his wife was pregnant.
Yeah, she was pregnant, good and pregnant.
Now you know that just hits me on so many different
You know,
levels.
and like they said, and that this sends the chills down my spine because I know the severity of a pregnancy
Yes.
and what it will do to the child. And
Yes.
these people that are making these comments and statements, they are heaping blood upon their own backs
You know what? I'm not even.
by making statements like that.
I'm not even thinking about the people that are making the comments.
I'm not thinking about it all.
Because I have a choice to read comments or not.
No, I'm not talking about. You don't gotta read it. If you said it, that's what you're doing.
Oh no! What?
You're sprinkling blood upon the veil of your back right now.
But what I'm saying is,
Because if that baby passed, if it happened, that blood is on your shoulders. You
okay,
got it.
But what I'm saying,
I'm just saying.
what
There's
I'm
more
saying
to it, I know,
is
but hey.
to find out that she or any woman would have to deal with that type of stress while they're pregnant.
Right.
It is so serious.
Man.
Not just because of some ethereal, oh, she's pregnant.
Nope.
No, her every
Physiologically.
thought. That's right. Her every thought, her every hormone, her every synapses, her every electrical impulse.
Yep.
It is what is building or breaking that baby
It's
down.
feeding the child.
It is
Literally.
feeding the child literally, and the child cannot escape it in any shape,
Nope.
form, or
They
fashion.
got no recourse.
And so, knowing that child came out, praise the Lord, healthy.
Yep.
But I know that child has some overcoming
It's
to do.
wounded.
It's wounded.
Wounded.
Because of the actions of the father.
Yep.
And so,
And it's a boy?
is it a boy?
Yeah, it's a boy.
Oh, and so that just it just hurt me on another level. And I know, and that was in the spotlight, but I hear cases like this all the time where women are pregnant and their spouses are stepping out on
Right.
them, cheating on them, leaving them,
Right.
all sorts of things, and it just hurts my heart to the core.
And that's the thing. Even though this was in the spotlight, women go through this daily. They go through this. They go through this daily. And then, like I said, cool, Kevin. You did what you did.
I like the way he owned it.
Owned up to it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, oh well, you whatever. And some of these females who say what they say
No.
in the comments, that's not where I am. But where I am is, like I said before, putting that mayonnaise on this sandwich for me to eat it. That you taking this, you making this
Like, because I'm taking full responsibility,
yeah.
it's not as unpalatable as if I was shucking and jiving
No, man.
about the responsibility.
No, man. And these guys that aren't famous and that aren't in the spotlight,
It doesn't
pastors,
matter. It doesn't matter.
CEOs, managers.
I don't care if you work at the local Wendy's.
Shift managers.
Right, I don't care.
Whoever you are.
This is humanity affecting humanity.
Wherever you are.
It doesn't matter what your
male or
position
female.
is. Male or female. Male or female. When you violate your word toward your spouse in infidelity or in other ways as well, but infidelity is such a breach. It crosses so many lines. You're lost. You're lost at them. Not to say you cannot be recovered. Not to say you can't come back stronger. It's always time to come back. Well, pray it's always time to come back.
Yeah, I mean,
but why do we have to go here? Just like I was saying in health, why do we have to have triple bypass surgery? Be like 300 pounds overweight, can't breathe with the oxygen machine? Why do we have to be all the way there before we say, you know what? Health is important. And you know what? I don't even think it's funny.
Yeah, it ain't funny.
I don't even think it's funny.
It ain't funny.
You know, so many of us are walking around in deep pain. But we still, for why? Is this, why? And this is it's rhetorical, but it's not. Why are we not on that prevention kick? I want to prevent infidelity in my marriage. I want to prevent a heart attack. I want to prevent diabetes. I want to prevent obesity. I want to prevent just so many things. Why?
That's the cure to whatever ails you. That preventative measures. That's the cure.
But most people are not on that. They're like, well, you got to die from something.
I'm just saying.
Well, you know, some got to make it stronger. Well, you need a test to have a testimony. Like, you're going to always have a testimony. You don't need to have a test to have a testimony. You're going to always have a testimony. You're going to always have a testimony. When you wake up and you just deal with what the day brings you, that's a testimony. Yep. Like, you don't need to have epic, tragic story. We're still friends to this day, in college, talking to this friend of mine, and she felt like because she hadn't been through anything really hard or tragic, that maybe she didn't have a true connection with the Creator. I was like, what? You better be thankful that you haven't had to go through the muck and mire just to feel that, you know, establish, should I say, a connection with the Father. And so many people feel that way. They feel like because I haven't done anything tragic, because I haven't, you know, been through the muck and mire, I don't have a real story. My life is not really meaningful. Yes, it is.
What is tragic? Like, what is tragic? I don't understand. Like, people like put levels to wrong.
Where you going? Tell me what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I haven't experienced anything tragic. Like, nothing has, you know. It ain't got to be.
It goes back to we're all dealing with. It goes back to we're all dealing with something. Okay, and what you're dealing with might be a level 2 to me, but it might be a level 9 to you.
Somebody else. Right. It's true.
And
I guess.
So, you know.
But it's still wrong.
It's still trouble. It's still an issue. Like, for instance, me and my sister joke all the time. Like, we'll literally pull out our stomachs and be like, do you see this? Do you see that fat roll? And then my sister be like, girl, don't even play with me. And I'm like, no, don't minimize my fat roll. You know, so in her mind, hers might be bigger. In my mind, I'm like, just because you think yours is bigger, it doesn't eradicate the fact that I have one.
I'm just saying, fat is fat, wrong is wrong.
Fat is fat.
Fat is fat, wrong is wrong. What it is.
But I think to some degree, we are all like that. What you're dealing with, that ain't as bad as what I'm dealing with, or maybe it is. But when we lack just an empathy, like when we lack empathy for others.
I got a scripture for you for that.
What's that?
Ain't nothing put on you more than what you can handle.
I believe that.
Nothing.
I believe that.
Everything that you get is because you can handle it.
And you know what determines the difference between those who handle it and those who crumble?
But what I'm saying is wrong is wrong. The test is the test. Whatever it is, it's there because you can handle it.
You can handle it, but your mindset will determine whether you will or will not handle it.
Well, that's personal.
It's always personal when you're dealing with your own struggle.
That's personal.
It's always personal.
What it is.
But
it is what it is. We're gonna have upsets, we're gonna have whatever, but it ain't gonna be to the point to where we can handle. Like there's some things that I know that you're right. Okay, there's some truth. Okay, so listen. there's some people out there that have gone through some things that I know I couldn't handle.
You think you can't handle.
That, well, I think I can't handle.
Right.
Right. And so I see it, I recognize it, I'm like, oh boy, please let me, whatever. I don't want to have to deal with that. So I understand that aspect of it. So yeah, at there's a level. But that's not for me to handle at the time. I just, that's not my test. That's not my deal. It's your deal. And I see, and here's the thing for me. I've had people tell me stuff that they've gone through and how they've dealt with it. I'm like, yo, that was for you, because that, woo, you handled that thing. Kudos. And it makes them stronger.
Yes. I mean, I actually am happy that he and his wife are reconciled.
It's a beautiful thing.
Working it out, and it can make them stronger. Not the actual happening, but the work that they're
building of that relationship.
That's right.
That work. 9 years is jack right now. That don't mean nothing. What means something right now is from
Today.
This point on.
Right. And the work that they're doing, but I'm like, can we do that work without infidelity?
Right. And see, that's my thing, man. I'm like,
I'm like,
brothers, fellas, man. I'm like,
let's, me, I'm always like,
man, I'm like, damn.
This is about me and you now. Like, I love to work. I love life work. I love relationship work.
It's about me and you now.
This is about me and you. I'm talking about me and you right now. Not Kevin Hart, not some other couple. Me and you are we willing to put in the prophylactic work to continue to make sure that our boundaries are strong, that we're cherishing and honoring and loving one another? Are we willing to put this relationship ahead and on a pedestal if need be, so that we can continue to see the value in one another, even through the toughest times, even through some attempt at bamboozlement? Is that a word?
I know bamboozle is. I don't know if you put a mint on it. I don't know if you put the mint on it. I don't know.
Are we willing to put in that kind of work? Because I'm going to tell you, we have children, we have businesses, we have ourselves, and sometimes throughout this process, I can tell you there have been times where our relationship has been like, oh yeah, and that. Oh yeah, and that. And I can remember times saying, babe, we need to focus on us. We need to focus on our relationship.
Right.
And at times your response has been like, yeah, and at times it's been like, okay, I ain't got time for that right now. But as you can see, there's always time for that.
Always.
If the container that holds greatness is crushed, greatness falls.
Right.
So it's always time to make sure that container is great. Always time. So when you take me on our next date?
Well, I'm taking you on the next date.